I upload daily NBA content on this channel, so if that is something that interests you, then subscribe. Also drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second and it makes a massive difference. Also, real quick, I mentioned this or kind of did a screenshot thing of it in the most recent video that I put out that did not perform well, so I figured I'd mention it again here. There's a new episode of my NBA series out right now covering the offseason after losing in the second round of the playoffs. We made a trade, did some draft stuff, some signings, so it's one of the more entertaining ones, so go check that one out. And if you haven't checked out that series in general, then go check that series out. I really enjoy doing them, and support on those means the world to me. But with that out of the way, the title of this video is Tyler Herro is quickly becoming overrated. And the reason for this is the other day, as there has been recently, there's been the obligatory James Harden trade discussions, and James Harden also recently listed both the Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks as two other teams that he would be interested in being traded to. And then, of course, people talked about hypothetical trades, and pretty much anyone with common sense was including Tyler Herro in a hypothetical James Harden trade. And this was to the dismay of many Miami Heat fans as well as non-Miami Heat fans who have really bought into the Tyler Herro hype train, saying that trading for James Harden, if it means losing Tyler Herro, would not be worth it. And this gets to the point of the takes on Tyler Herro basically just being pure lunacy. Because the fact of the matter is, Tyler Herro, well, I guess it's not a fact because the sky is the limit, or the ceiling is the roof, as MJ would say. But basically, I would bet all of the money that I have ever earned or will ever earn that Tyler Herro is never as good as James Harden. Not even that. I'd bet all the money that I own or ever will own on that he never even gets in the same category of player as James Harden. So the fact that people are denying the idea of trading Tyler Herro for James Harden is ludicrous. Now, I will mention that there are factors outside of just the straight-up swap that come into play here, because James Harden is about a decade older than Tyler Herro. He is also on a massive contract, and there is a legitimate argument, or I'd say a little bit overblown, however, that James Harden would not fit in Miami's culture. Now, I am planning on making a video on kind of the narratives around James Harden as a player, but it is fair to say that he does not exactly have the mentality of a lot of the players on the Miami Heat. He's not so much the hustle guy, not so much focused on the little things of basketball. He is like very happy to take breaks when he can. Like, the whole thing with the Miami Heat is they're complete no nonsense. Like, you're gonna try your hardest, you're gonna give it your all, and you're gonna focus on the little things, and you don't get any passes here. James Harden is someone who tends to want passes. However, as important as that Miami Heat culture is to their success, the fact is, and this I will say is basically a fact, James Harden, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo as a trio is so good that even if you take a hit culture-wise, you're still a better team. Like, significantly. Dom2K was talking about this in a video he recently did on his main channel about what trade packages would look like from all the teams that could potentially get James Harden, mentioning Tyler Herro in exchange for James Harden and mentioning how Heat fans didn't like that idea. And he said, you're using narratives and letting them overtake the actual basketball stuff here, and you can't let the narrative matter more than the actual basketball on the court product. And that is very much true in the case of James Harden. James Harden is not very well liked, so when you have a player in Tyler Herro who is very well liked, especially by Miami's own fans, then it's coming to the point where people are just being like, well, I like Tyler Herro and I don't like James Harden, so I don't want to trade Tyler Herro for James Harden, even though who you like does not matter like at all in comparison to who's actually the better talent and what is going to get you further along into winning a championship. But Tyler Herro being overrated hasn't exactly started with James Harden. Really, I think it's just been the NBA and NBA fan bases and just the NBA fan base in general sometimes just chooses a player that we're all going to decide we like, and then quickly that guy becomes overrated. Not to the fault of the player. Like, I don't think it's fair to Tyler Herro that I have to make this video about him being overrated, because Tyler Herro is a very bright and talented young player with a lot of upside. It's unfortunate that NBA fans have to make this an issue when it really shouldn't be. It's not the fault of the player that's overrated, it's the fault of the fans who overrate said player. So for Tyler Herro, this is not trying to be malicious in his extent, really just talking about the conversation around him, if that wasn't clear already. So Tyler Herro, first of all, I know 2K ratings don't really matter, but the fact that Tyler Herro has the same rating, or I think 1 point lower, but like basically this, actually I think it's 1 point less. I think Tyler Herro actually has a better rating in 2K than Jrue Holiday. I know for a fact he has a better rating than Marcus Smart, which is completely ludicrous. And I would like to mention, because a lot of this really picked up in the playoffs, though Tyler Herro obviously had that 37-point game against the Boston Celtics, he was quite literally bad in every other series, and especially bad in the NBA Finals. Now, we're talking about a 19-year-old playing in the NBA Finals, and it's perfectly relevant for him to play, or perfectly valid for him to play poorly in a final series, especially in a final series where they lose. And that's all fine. I mean, I'm not trying to be critical of the guy. But I will say that people take that 37-point performance and his overall, like, 19-point per game performance for the Celtics series in general and act like that's what Tyler Herro was for the entire playoffs, when in actuality, he was bad for all but that series. And this is kind of the same thing that exists with Damian Lillard and his playoff stuff in general, where people act like that series he had versus OKC is just what he is in the playoffs all the time. And that's not the case. It was a great series, but Tyler Herro in general in the playoffs was not that great. And the fact that that's been what's propelled him to the point where he's an 83 overall in 2K and considered better than Marcus Smart and Jrue Holiday it's an issue. And the fact that Tyler Herro has gotten this overrated can be cause for concern, because I feel like in a situation where the Miami Heat do trade a guy like Tyler Herro, they're going to get so much shit even if it was the right basketball decision. And that's a problem. Just in general, I wish NBA fans would learn to calm down on young guys. At the same time, it can go both ways, where there are people who like just don't want to admit when a young guy is already crazy good. Like people acting like if you don't think Luka Doncic is a top 10 player in the NBA already, you're just wrong. I'm sorry, you are. And it's for that reason that some people will just like not give the young player credit. But I feel like we also get people, and more often than not, get people who are giving young players too much credit. I think Tyler Herro has the highest ceiling is a perennial all-star. I basically think he can be a more efficient, like 2013 J.R. Smith in a starter's role and just better overall with better decision making, and that is an all-star caliber player. And I think he could lend to multiple all-star appearances. But the weaknesses in his game, his defense, his not all that great playmaking, though he did show signs. Sometimes he does have shot selection issues, and the fact that he is prone to go cold quite often. The fact that he's not a substantial athlete. He's a little undersized for a shooting guard. I believe he's like 6'4", maybe 6'5". All of those issues are to the point where he's just not going to be better than James Harden. And the James Harden idea with the Rockets, you do that trade if it's an option. You trade Tyler Herro for James Harden 11 times out of 10, providing over the rest of the pieces around the Heat that they give up are not too bad. Obviously, you don't move Bam Adebayo in a James Harden trade. Even then, to an extent, I would consider it if it was just a straight-up swap, but I still would not do that. But the fact that this many people were that adamantly against trading Tyler Herro for someone of James Harden's caliber tells me that Tyler Herro has quickly become one of the most overrated players in the league. And it's unfortunate, because this is kind of an issue that exists with Kobe White and mildly with Ja Morant. I only think Ja Morant is slightly overrated. I think Kobe White is quite overrated by both fan bases. I wish I didn't have to be in a position of talking negatively about these players because of what fan bases do. Because I would love to talk about all the things I love about Kobe White all the time, but it seems like every time a conversation comes up about him, people are saying that more so than he really deserves, and I have to be like, whoa, pump the brakes. He's not that. Like, he's not on that level. Chill the fuck out. And that same thing is happening with Tyler Herro right now. I think the thumbnail for this video says something like "calm down, guys." That's precisely it. Can we please just appreciate Tyler Herro and the talent that he has the potential to be, the talent that he already is, without taking it to the extent of overrating him and making it to where I generally have to have a negative perception of the guy. And like, it's at the point where on Twitter I'm seeing people talk negatively about Tyler Herro most of the time because it's like a pushback to the fans talking so positively about him. Overrating a prospect can quickly turn to people over-hating a prospect, and it's unfair to said prospect that happens. This is another thing I keep pointing to examples, but this is also something that happened with Trae Young. At this point, I would say generally NBA fans are lower on Trae Young than they should be. Trae Young, I believe, is a future all-star caliber player, or not all-star, he's already an all-star, future superstar caliber player, and people don't really treat him like that because there was an extent of NBA fans that were acting like he was the next Stephen Curry. My point is, just in general, calm down. Tyler Herro's good. He's not that good. Let him be. Let us just enjoy him as what he is instead of making this a narrative wasteland. With that out of the way, again, go check out that My NBA video if you have not yet. Again, I really appreciate those videos getting support. I'm going to upload another one tomorrow, so go check that out if you haven't yet. The series in general if you haven't yet. But yeah, that's the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.